Imagine being 27 years of age and making $370,000 on one property completely outside of your job in a 12-month period. Now, while that might sound completely insane, today I'm sitting down with my friend and colleague Tim to figure out how he turned an idea or his dream into actual reality and cash. So my first question was going to be, how the hell did you actually make this happen? But we'll get back to that in a moment. Tell me about the numbers. How much did this thing cost? How much have you sold it for, and what do you expect to make?
So the total cost was just $1,050,000, which is crazy for a 4-bed, 2-bath duplex. And the total profit was sort of that 1.42 for both sides, 710 each. So we ended up getting a 370,000 profit, which is just disgusting, really.
So what was the actual project? Like, what did you go out there and do? And then we'll dip into where you went and did it.
So what we did is we went out there, bought a piece of land, engaged a builder and built a duplex, a 4-bed, 2-bath per side duplex, as efficient design as possible. And where we did it was a coastal town near Hervey Bay, Queensland. And the reason for that is the numbers just stacked up and the area looked really good.
So how did you find Hervey Bay in Queensland as an investor living in Adelaide, South Australia, out of the thousands and thousands of suburbs across the country?
Honestly, for me, like when I'm looking for a duplex investment, it just matters about the return on cost, which is the total cost, how much money is it's going to make. I need that, for me personally, to be above 30% before I take a dive. I ran the numbers in heaps of other places before that, including Geelong, the Sunshine Coast, Adelaide, not Sydney because it's out of my budget, but Brisbane as well. And nothing looked good until I stumbled upon this unicorn.
How did you feel about this sort of project? Like, obviously you're going from feasibility to feasibility and trying to find a really good solution for you and your wife, but how did you settle on that location? Like, what was it in the data that you found and the obviously comparable sales that you went, yep, that is the one, and when you put it through your calculator, it stacked up?
I guess it's the inputs as well, so the cost of land, the cost of build, which were known. It was put together as a duplex package for me. Quite often they just don't have any profit in them, but very occasionally they do. I decided on the area by looking back at the 18-year history and seeing that it tracked the Sunshine Coast almost exactly, even though it was a cheaper area. Our budget for this one was really tight. Like, I spoke to my broker and he's like, you've got $500 of borrowing capacity left. We needed every rate cut to work out perfectly in order to get this one going.
Yeah.
So that was quite a difficult process. It took us, I think we extended the land settlement by about 6 weeks, which is a bit of favour because honestly, they didn't have to extend that. They could have just sold the land to someone else, but the agent relationship really helped there. Otherwise we would have missed out on that one. But yeah, our finances were certainly tight on this one, but really glad it worked out.
So I've seen the photos and the videos, which we're about to show in a moment, but what are some of the things that you loved about this property? What are some of the things that you'd change if you were building again? What did you upgrade? What did you skimp out on? Because obviously we could have met $1 million per side market, or we could have met a $500,000 per side market, but that sweet middle range of that sort of 710, 720 on each side seems to be about right. So walk us through what you've got here and sort of what it looks like from your perspective.
The first thing we thought about was getting the floor plan right. For this one, we didn't have a choice, to be honest. It was a 4-bed, 2-living, 2-bath, single garage. Already an extremely efficient design, beautiful property. What we did upgrade, which the builder allowed us to upgrade, they don't usually, but we sort of got our way into it, is we made all the colours that light, bright and wood colour. It just really brought it together instead of looking a bit outdated.
You know, as someone myself who has built a whole bunch of properties and renovated even more, I love the stone bench tops, the upgraded tapware that they offered. I love the colour selections that you chose. Like, they're super modern, super light, super Scandinavian. Like this builder, honestly, for a house and land package, that's why I asked you what you'd upgraded, because to me it is just absolutely smick. Like, they've nailed it. I love the rectified edge tiles. I love the modern use of fans and blinds throughout. I love the walk-in cabinetry in the walk-in cupboard. Even the little things that I noticed, like the higher wall-to-ceiling tiling in the shower niche, the semi-frameless shower screens and the wall-hung vanities. I know this sounds like we're a long way down the wormhole here, but these are the things things that make it less of a bottom end of the market spec build, and that's why I think you got significantly above what similar properties are selling for online in that market right now. So obviously we've got a sort of bespoke regional location in North Queensland. Tell me a little bit more about sort of that location and why you actually chose it outside of just the raw data.
The location itself, Burrum Heads, stacked up because it was near the water. Like, this property is less than 1 kilometre from the ocean, and it's less than 150 metres from a man-made lake.
So I've personally before done subdivisions, Airbnbs, houses and granny flats, knockdown rebuilds, building brand new houses and grannies, unlimited numbers of renos. And I know that from every one of those experiences, there's always some pain, bro. So where's the pain been for you on this project? Because it's unusual to make $370,000 at 27 without a little bit of work and pain and a few sleepless nights thrown in.
Yeah, like, I was coming into this project thinking it'd be much more straightforward because we didn't have to do any of the council stuff. The builder would manage that, which we didn't do that. The builder did manage it. However, we had major issues with finance. Like, we were right on the edge. We needed every rate cut to go through. This thing wasn't going to work. Wow. So there was a faith step there, and it took about 3 months to get finance done when I would have thought maybe 3 weeks. So that was really tough. Once we got over that hurdle, it was smooth sailing. It was beautiful, but that was very stressful, and it's like on the edge of this project working or not working.
I also came into this sort of in the last 3 months in a big way because you've obviously been living and working up here in Queensland, but what sort of happened at the end as well? Like, obviously you've got this duplex project that has yet to be strata titled, so it means that you couldn't sell each side individually. So how have you found managing that back end of the process, and more importantly just being patient while you've got no tenants in there and you're sort of waiting for this thing to be split up so that you can sell them separately?
Something we sort of knew might happen but didn't expect was there to be a glut of this sort of product come onto the market at the same time. It was just before Christmas. A number of these came on the market and they all wanted tenants. And so we had to wait around for about 5 weeks to get a good tenant that we were happy with. So that was a bit of out-of-pocket cost we weren't expecting. In terms of selling it, we have to wait till the titles are complete. And once they're completed, then we can sell it. But that process is 2 to 3 months with Christmas added in. So yeah, it sort of blew out a little bit, but we're sort of expecting a 12-month project overall.
And how, on a week-to-week basis, have you managed your emotions? Because obviously, at the end of the project, the debt is as high as it's going to be. Sounds like you used quite a bit of leverage to get this bad boy going. How have you sort of stomached those week-to-week costs on, let's call it $1 million of debt, give or take, with a 6% or so interest rate? Like, how's that physically felt, and what's your advice and ideas for people that are sitting out there losing money until they make it type vibe?
Just get through it. We ended up doing about 108% lend on it. So we were borrowing against other properties. All the deposit was debt, and we took out a buffer as well to pay interest as it was going. That buffer kind of ran out as we had a vacant house. So that wasn't great timing. So we ended up dipping into our own money a little bit, which is a bit of pressure, but also, we've got, money there as buffer for stuff like this to happen.
So obviously keeping some cash on the side for a rainy day, and rainy days do come. Like, I've had projects take much longer to sell than I thought they would, sometimes not sell, sometimes I've had to go back to long-term tenancy. Anything can happen in the development game, but let's say we're 2-3 months down the track, your money's in the bank, you've paid the agents out, you've paid the tax out. What do you do with this massive nest egg that you've just made and you're servicing back? Like, what's the plan moving forward?
I guess what my wife and I are thinking is we want to enter the Victorian market. We think it's undervalued at the moment based on history, and so we want to get a few properties down there.
I love that. Like, you and I you spent a lot of time before Christmas, and I'll just take credit for it, but effectively looking at every one of the capital cities in Australia over the last 1, 3, 5, 7, 10, 18 and 30 years, as well as the largest regional markets in the country. And it's really clear to see from those numbers being put into one table and comparing markets versus markets over a long-term data set to see that Melbourne, Victoria, Geelong look massively undervalued in the last 7 years relative to the likes of Brisbane, Perth and Adelaide right now.
Yeah, thanks for taking credit for that one.
Sorry, mate. I know they were your sleepless nights, not mine.
Yeah. No, I do think Victoria's looking really good down there.
And so, obviously, without giving it all away, what's your strategy for this one?
Yeah, so my wife and I, we want a strategy that gives us cash flow, which buys us freedom in our life. That's actually the end goal of all this. So yeah, we want to get in the right timing. Victoria's looking good from a capital growth perspective. We want to be near the beach as well. And we also want to have that high cash flow.
I love it, mate. Congrats on this project. It's certainly inspiring. I wish I had have got one of them myself 12 months ago, and I'm super excited to hopefully bring these 1 or 2 projects that you're thinking about the next 12 months to everyone on the camera. So if you guys, like me and Tim, are looking to get out there and buy an investment property in the next 3 to 12 months, then Tim and I and the team over here at Pumped On Property would love to catch up with you and talk about where you are right now, where you'd like to be longer term. We can talk about the 20 largest markets in the country and the pros and cons of each, and then you can take that information and go and absolutely smash it on your own, or you could become one of the extremely small number of clients that we choose to mentor and work with one-on-one as buyer's agents each week. But either way, we truly wish you all the best on your journey to a life filled with choices and financial freedom, and all the best for 2026.